Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me today for my first drive in a manual BMW M4, the new G82. Of course, back home I have my G80 M3 Auto, the M3 Competition. Now in the UK you can't actually purchase the manuals of these cars, we only have the Competition with the Auto box, so this is going to be quite the experience on the roads here in the Eifel Mountains, followed by a lap at the Nurburgring with the manual M4 to see exactly what it's about. Now this car has been doing a number of laps. BMW M have very kindly sent it for the purpose, including wearing a set of Sport Cup 2 tyres, which are going to be absolutely at home when they have a little bit of heat in them out on the Nordschleife. So let's have a quick run over the car, go check out what the box is like and see whether this is the one to have out on the roads and on the Nürburgring. I think we'll skip straight past the discussion about this. It's been talked about far too much because this car is about what it's going to be like to drive. And inside, you don't have to look at the front. We do have the upgraded seats, the carbon buckets with this little piece in the middle. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But crucially, we have the 6-speed manual, we have a clutch pedal, and we have the car with 480 horsepower, 550 Newton meters with the inline-6 turbocharged engine up front. It is all rear driven. The xDrive or the MX-Drive 4-wheel drive version comes in the future, but this is regular M4 as opposed to M4 Competition, silver badges as opposed to the black badges, but otherwise very, very similar. And I'm quite looking forward to finding out what it's about, whether it is a crying shame that we don't get this gearbox in the UK, or whether, like some cars these days, it just makes more sense to go with the auto. So let's get straight on out. It looks like the weather might be turning in a moment, as it often does here. Very, very grey up that way, blue over that way. We're going to head, I think, in that direction to go and experience a bit of what this is like. Before going anywhere, well, let's start the car quickly. Rumbles into life. So these seats have been praised. They are a great seating position, a lot of support. They look insanely cool, but this thing between your legs is very, 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 very odd. Anyway, we have a nice feel to this, a manual. Obviously, everybody asked for a manual. BMW have responded. The car has 30 horsepower less at 480 instead of 510, and it has 550 Newton meters of torque as opposed to 650. Not huge numbers in the real world, but let's pop it into gear. We'll go find a nice bit of local road around here first before we head onto the Nordschleife. So I just want to get a little bit familiar with the car before I'm trying to drive it in anger and getting myself in a complete muddle, because there is so much more to think about when you're back on the Nürburgring in a manual as opposed to in an auto. I like the display that you get. It also auto blips if you want it to. Gives you that instant feeling of connection with the car, something that obviously automatics lack in so many ways. They just don't have this purity, old school, engaging feel. A manual gearbox is something that down the line I think many of us are going to miss an awful lot. Nice yellow GT3 RS, lots of nice cars around here as always. There's a short throw to the shifter, feels very comfortable, very easy, very forgiving. The clutch pedal isn't particularly hard work. Everything slots nicely into place. Very much still driver focused, and less to play with and set up really in here when compared with the automatic, because you don't have so many different settings. There are still the setup pages and M modes, so we'll go through some of those and explore a little bit. Feels good already, to be honest. Manual gearboxes are exactly up my street. Starting to get a little bit more heat into it and a better feel of what all of this is about. Now at the moment everything is effectively in the default settings. We have two different things we can change. The first is to go into setup, where we've got the engine, we can pop that up into sport. We've got the gear shift assistant, which is effectively the auto rev matching. We've got that on. Chassis I'm going to put into sport, steering into sport, and brake, which is the integrated brake assist, changing the feel of the brake pedal pressure but still giving you the same amount of actual braking power. Now you can configure all of those to your M1 and M2 buttons. I'm not sure how those are set up at the moment. And then we also have the M mode button, which gives you a slightly different display on the dash and also changes the way the assistance systems are working for a sportier or a track drive, depending exactly how you want it, and a very big heads-up display with a lot of information. Obviously all of this is familiar from my M3, but as we start to drive, going through the corners, this is where I do wish the cars would have a slightly smaller, less chunky steering wheel. Not necessarily smaller in size, but smaller in grip feel at least, just to make it easier to hold. But instantly you feel a little bit connected with the car. Obviously we're not doing many shifts here. Drop it down into third gear and you can hear the way that it automatically rev matches down into second. It's a very, very smooth feel, a very easy shift, a very natural shift. But what's it going to be like when we're driving in anger is what I can't wait to find out very, very shortly. Traction control just intervening a little bit there on the exit from the hairpin. It is a surprisingly impressive car, this generation, the G80 and the G82 of the M3 and the M4, and of course the Touring to come in the future as well. But as we go down a road like this, it feels right at home, and it gives you that engaging feel. Now, the last time I did a back-to-back in my mind about an auto box versus a manual box was with the 991.2 GT3, and they each have their respective benefits in different driving scenarios. The autos, or the PDK in the Porsche's case, are right at home on the track, those lightning fast shifts, whereas the manuals on a twisty road like this, that's where you want to be. And unlike, say, my GT4, this doesn't have crazy long gearing where you're basically not shifting that much because one single gear or second gear takes you to well in excess of the speed limit. Thankfully this has a little bit more room to play, but still a lot of torque between gears. I'm finding it hard actually to get myself particularly comfortable, because every time you extend your left foot for the clutch pedal, this thing between the seats is a bit of an irritation. And yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that so far, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, the track is actually closed at the moment, so I'll enjoy a little bit more of a drive around, and then we shall head out to go see what it's like in anger. Here we are then, the entrance to the Nürburgring. Now it's Touristenfahrten, tourist drives. That means it is a public road. Normal road rules do apply, overtaking on the left. It is not a race. This is about having fun and having an experience with this car to understand as much as possible what it is all about. It is looking pretty busy today. Let's just blip the card there, back into first gear. I can see quite a few interesting cars up ahead, so I think I will press the traction button to put it into M dynamic mode, but otherwise everything is exactly as it was before. We'll go straight through the little bit of a chicane here to warm things up, ready to head on out, where, bear with me, there's going to be a lot to take in when it comes to manual, slightly unfamiliar car being driven in anger on a very busy Nürburgring. So we do need to keep all wits about us. You've got the chicane here, just spreading things out a touch. We'll get into second gear, and as soon as we are out of here, it will be foot down, and away we go. So up towards the red line, you do get a lot of flashing going on in front of you when you get there. Up into third gear, 911 GT3 on the right, taking it easy at the moment. Fourth gear, building up the speed very, very quickly. Over 200 kilometers an hour here through Tiergarten. Heading straight on through to some of the earlier corners of this famous piece of tarmac. Auto blip, I'm going to keep it on auto blipping. Could rev match yourself, but I've got enough to think about at the moment, and obviously it helps get everything absolutely perfect and spot on to take the next gear. Already able to feel a little bit of slide around from it. Obviously this car is wearing, as I said, the Sport Cup 2s as opposed to the normal Pirelli P0s that we get on UK M3 M4s, or the Pilot Sport 4Ss that you get on the European delivered cars. The amount of pace this is able to carry is already enormous. It is a significant step up from previous generation M3 and M4s, as we're following an M2 down here as well. Obviously BMW M cars, very, very popular at the Nürburgring. Thank you to that man for letting me through straight there on the corner. Good place to go past. So we do some of these tighter hats and back corners. And like I say, it's a bit of learning. For me, I haven't done too many laps around the Nürburgring in manual cars, so I just want to get myself acclimatized to all of this. Foot down, up into fourth, 170, 180, 190, 200, 210, 220 as we get light up here. Wow, this is impressively quick. That is my biggest takeaway so far as we now head towards Schwedenkreuz, the fastest early section of this. Up into fifth gear, 230, 240, 250. I see 256 kilometers kilometers an hour on the dashboard. That is very, very quick. Not gonna lie, that's about 160 miles an hour there. Into Nurburgring, heavy braking zone. We've got the M carbon ceramic brakes on this, a nice combination with the tyres working very, very well, as we're now going to head down towards the foxhole. Another very quick section, tricky technical section. See if we can head on through here. There we go. Okay, about 220 kilometers an hour through the compression. Oh, feeling that on the brakes up the hill on the other side, right some curve here on the left. Closing speed was very, very, very high there. Got to watch out for everyone else on the track around us who haven't now forced. I feel like I'm starting to learn this place. It's very different in real life to playing a computer game, but having done over 100 laps or so now, I have a bit of an idea of where things go. And this car, oh, there we go, safety systems detecting the braking of the car in front. I think if we were up into track mode, that wouldn't have happened. Beeping away to let me know that somebody's braking. It's like, yes, I know that, we're on the Nürburgring. So, oh yeah, starting to feel the grip from the tyres. This is feeling good, as we've got a previous gen M3 in Yasmarina Blue, go around the outside here. Getting lots and lots of squeal, back on the power, I just need a touch more power. Thank you to him, I think I slightly inconvenienced his line there, but very kind to make it possible. So we now get to the miss hit miss. Missed the first corner, take the second, missed the third, and we've got a Tesla in front, which is quite fun as we come towards the siphon. Heavy braking, slowest corner on the track, down to second gear, tight, tight, tight. As we're going to go up the hill then from Breitscheid. I've left it in third gear, maybe second would have been a touch better for that one. Build up the revs. Speed is improving nicely. On the dash here, by the way, are big. This car is very, very, very fast. We've got a line of cars in front here. It's very, very, very fast. It might not seem as fast as it is. I think that's potentially one of the things about it, because it is a very compliant road car as well. It is calm, it is pleasant to drive on the road. We come up to the carousel then, the famous concrete slabs drop in, ride it around, handles this quite nicely, obviously very bumpy whichever way you look at it. Back on the power on the exit, got a couple of hatches and BMWs, the kind of things you see around the Nürburgring. Take fourth gear here, go flying through, got to watch out because I'm slightly offline. One of the challenges with so many cars on busy sections of track. Yeah, I would like a little bit more low-end torque from this. Number of times where I feel like I'm high enough in the rev range that I don't want to take the gear down, but low enough that I would like to be able to keep this one with slightly more coming from it. So we go through Wipperman. It's always fun to ride those curbs. This guy in front is on it, nearly went a little bit light there. Down to Brünchen, Hater corner. Big smile on the face. Big concentration as well. The tyres are brilliant in here. Sport Cup 2s on this car work very, very, very well. It's going to have a little jump here. Dab of the brake before, lift off. Wow, he properly jumped in front of me. I'm gonna go light again over the next little brow just here. Wow, he's really on it in front. A big crowd of cars as well. Whew. Quite a workout when you're driving in a manual. I'm actually going to back off here because we've effectively only got about 2 corners to go. Take it easy, let the M3 back through. That was quite an experience, it has to be said. Lap of the Nürburgring, full on in here, absolutely full on. Really good fun. and thankfully not in the rain. That was what I was a little bit worried about. But it's hard work. I think a gearbox like this for me works very well on the twisty roads like earlier, but on the track, that's where I want the auto. That's where I want to have the automatic box, which is very good. Yes, it's an 8-speed ZF that they use in the competition models, but it is a very good gearbox. It is a gearbox that does shift quickly between the gears, very, very fast response. It's a nice M2 Competition and a GT3 in front as well. Whew, I need to cool down a little bit as we come all the way around underneath the gantry and let the car cool off, cool down the brakes as we head back then towards base. Fortunately, it looks like I went out at exactly the right time. It is now starting to drizzle just a little bit, but let's talk BMW M4. Now that I've experienced the M4 manual, a few obvious comments that I alluded to while driving. First thing, the seats. Every single time you extend your left foot to press the clutch pedal, this just feels a little bit odd. So I have no regrets that I didn't go for those. They are very expensive. They look awesome, but they do feel a little bit strange overall. In terms of the drive, one thing I significantly have noticed here, as opposed to the competition, which has 100 Newton meters of torque more, is when you're at the exit of corners, and you'll have seen this when I was driving. Let's say you're in third gear because you need it through the corner. When you're at the exit, you're waiting that little bit longer than you want to be for the power to arrive, for the torque to arrive, until you get higher in the rev range. Now the fix to that is to change the final drive, but obviously that would completely change the whole setup. So for me, I have no regrets that I have the competition with the 8-speed auto. I can see where there's the space for this, for many people who might want to enjoy it more on country road tours, that kind of thing, but for the track, it is really the auto. The auto is the better setup. I think overall, M3, M4, basically not that much difference, I guess, between the two of them, other than the body styles, how they look, and how practical they are, and I think the M3 just looks that touch cooler being the saloon, with the practicality of the rear. This has been a great drive though. I've been looking forward to experiencing the manual. As I said before, even if this had been an option, I think I wouldn't have gone for it, because I just prefer the setup of the auto, but alas, I didn't have that choice. We can't buy the manuals, the non-competition models in the UK, so I went for the M3 Competition, and I'm very happy about my choice. Today though was awesome to take this out, to drive it on the roads and out on the Nürburgring as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching as always, but that is it for this time, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!